Business Takeout presents
The Cocktale Hour with L.A. Wade.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cocktale Hour. I am your host, L.A. Wade, where I have sobering and intimate conversations about, people's progression through life. And today I am very, very honored. The day after Bob Marley Day.
Yes.
This is like our month. This is your month, Dr. Vibe. I have the doctor in the house. I read on your bio that you are the prince of podcasts. That's a great title.
I don't. Well, you know what? I'm young. I don't know if I'm still. Well, I'm older than Prince, but we'll take that.
I think it's kind of true in the sense that podcasting has kind of, exploded over the last little while, and there are more people than ever getting into podcasting. And it just feels like you've already been doing this. You're like, you guys are new in these streets, but I've been here doing this kind of thing.
Yes.
Right. And your resume speaks to that. It says that you're dominating the internet. And I remember when I used to do, when you invited me to be a guest sometimes on your show, you always talked about having epic conversations.
Yes.
Talk to me about what an epic conversation is for you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and Banky, because we're not seeing her, but she is here for a lot.
You know what? That just reminded me, because I want to shout out to Business Takeout and Banky.
Yeah, let's shout them out.
That's my show, right? She holds down the Cocktale Hour. They are a not-for-profit social enterprise that works to empower Black wealth and educate Black entrepreneurs. And that's why you're here, Dr. Vibe, because you do both of those things.
Well, you know what? I received that, and I appreciate that. Epic conversations. Well, I've done over 3,000 of them. And I don't do interviews. I like to do conversations. And the reason why I like to do conversations is that most of the time, especially when someone's being on my platform for the first time, they're nervous. And I say, you know what? We're just going to do a conversation. And 95% of the people say, that's great. That's fantastic. So they already got that guard down. They're not nervous. And we're just having a conversation like we're sitting on a beach. That's what my aim is just to have a conversation and just enjoy and let them talk about and share about themselves. It's like the 80-20 rule. You let the person you're having on your platform do 80% of the talking, and you do 20% of the talking, but you do 100% listening.
Perfect. With that in mind, Banky, can you show us what Dr. Vibe is all about?
Oh, me?
Yes. Run that.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, and it is Black Canada Talking Time. Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes on stories, POVs that are of importance to them, or we showcase Black Canadians are doing their thing.
The real aspect of what goes on behind the walls or behind the fence is a totally different persona and a totally different picture.
There was just a big sense of relief when we finally got there.
We have to realize that everything we do is going to have an impact on probably a lot of people we don't even know.
One of the mandates of the CBC is to reflect Canada back to itself.
Not a lot of sustainable long-term movement that will affect economic change.
God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good. Thank you. Appreciate that. You know, one or two people in that video.
I do. Black Canada is small. People don't realize just how small it is that we are. And I'm amazed when a Black person pops up that I didn't know in Canada. Where did you come from? Did you just recently move in? Because I'm pretty sure I've been counting the ticker of how many of us there that exist. Which has been an interesting thing for you, I think, in the sense that, did you grow up in Toronto?
Actually, I was born in the Oshawa.
Okay, let's break this down, because I like to go on the journey. I learned from you, really, to not necessarily have interviews, but to your point, to have conversations. But I'm just an inquisitive person, especially when
you always have been. Don't
change.
Change.
Especially when I see somebody doing something unique that I find intriguing. So I've often heard this idea of going from boys to men, right? Talk to me about your own coming of age story. How did you become Dr. Vibe? And who were you at those various stages of becoming?
Wow. Okay. How did the Dr. Vibe story begin? Okay. Many years ago, as I say, when I had hair and I had graduated from, I graduated
I
from the
want
university.
pictures.
You and I, yes, nobody else. Right?
That's fair.
When I had graduated from the University of Scarborough College, Scarborough, I still live in Scarborough, by the way. There was a bookstore on St. Clair and Dufferin area, just east of Dufferin, Burke's Bookstore.
Oh yeah, Aubrey, right? Aubrey Clark's family.
Yes.
And he's an author. I should have him on the show, actually.
There you go. Mr. and Mrs. Rita and Sam Burke. Fantastic. Happy New Year,
Dr. Vibe. Sorry, people are talking to you. It's so cute.
Well, thank you, Louise. Much appreciated. Louise, you're from Hamilton. Yep.
Big up Hamilton.
And so I would always go into their bookstore, and I had just graduated from university, and I was tired of reading and writing stuff that had no applicable to me. It wasn't applicable. I'm not going to use this stuff. Like, no offense, but Jean-Jacques Rousseau, you're not. I can't feel you, right? So, and I went into their store.
Yes.
Like I usually did back then, and I saw a book called Black Men, Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous: Stories of the African American Family in Transition. I sat down. Yeah, I sat down. And that book was written in 1990, by the way.
Wow. And you remember the author?
Hadi Makabuti. You know what? Do I have it here?
Oh my goodness.
No, I don't. I usually have. Yes, I do have it. There we go. Hey, that's another thing. Always have props. This is the book.
Okay. Look at that.
And there's the author's name, Haki R. Mahabuti. Read this. I took the book, sat down in their store, read the first chapter, bought it, and read the whole thing in one night.
How old were you?
I don't remember, but it was very rare for me to read something complete, a book, especially in one night. Because the books I usually read, he had to have hip hop music to keep me awake from reading them, right? In school, right? Read the book and I said, okay, it changed the way I viewed the world, because one of the central themes of the book was that African heritage is communal. North American, European heritage is individual. So we as a people are trying to put a round peg into a square hole. I said to myself, okay, there's got to be, and back then I loved college radio. I had finished doing lots of stuff with college radio. I said, you know what? One day, one way, some way, somehow, I'm going to do something online. And a few months after that, I'm dating myself a little bit, but there was a controversy back then with Michael Vick, who was an ex-football player, and he was and the Dogs. That was my first broadcast. All I had was I don't have it with me. I had a laptop, a microphone, and a dream, and a dining room table, and that's all I had. And that was my first broadcast. And if you go on my website, it's still there. Now, yeah, I'm brave enough to show you how raw I was.
Oh, I'm all about that.
I know that. And it started there. And I, myself and I had a co-host at the time. We did a number of shows, and I said, you know what, need to take a break, because most things in my life have a birth, death, and resurrection. Leave it at that. Came back a few months after that, and we started doing more shows. I said, you know what, people are going to get pretty bored just listening to me all the time. So what do? Okay, let's start doing shows with my friends. So I used to go to parties, dinner parties, put my laptop down, put my microphone down, and just record live broadcasts.
Wow.
And then after that, okay, let's see. I'm chatting with people who I know. Let's get to people who I don't know. So the first person I reached out to, and you will know this name, he was Canada's first Black male VJ. Let's see if LA.
Michael Williams?
Yes, absolutely. So I reached out to Michael Williams, and Michael lives in Hamilton, and that's like, for me, about a 45-minute drive. Okay. And I said to myself, okay, I wanted to interview you, Mike. And he said, look, Mike, Mike said to me, if you want to interview, you got to drive all the way out to Hamilton. I said, well, what happens if 20 minutes, 30 minutes in, he cancels?
Right. What happens?
What happens? So I got to go back home. No interview, waste of time.
This happened, or
No,
you're
it
saying,
didn't. It didn't. It did. It
Okay.
sort of prompted me in my head saying, you know what? I don't want to be traveling around all the time dealing with Toronto traffic, what, etc. I said, okay. So I have my moments where I'm lazy. Went on the internet, put in the search engine, shows that help you with podcasting. First one that was there is a show called The Podcaster Studio, run by a gentleman named Ray Ortega. I contacted him, and within 24 hours, he changed the Dr. Vibe thought process and platform. And one of the things that he said is, Dr. Vibe, your goal is when people think about Black men who do interviews online, your goal is for them to think of you first.
Oh, wow. This is what a white man said to you?
Yes, he did. And then I said, yeah. And then he said to me, then I said to well, Ray, I want to have interview people all around the world, to have conversations with people all around the world. And he says, well, okay, I'm going to introduce you to a gentleman named Mike Phillips. So Mike Phillips, white gentleman, lived in North Carolina at the time, had 25 years of audio engineering experience.
Yes.
So I said, Mike, I want to do broadcasts all around the world from my office. He said, Dr. Vibe, if you want to do this, you're going to need to get a mixer. I said, Mike, the only mixers I know is at the club. He says, well, if you want to do what you want, you're going to have to get your head out of the club and put it in your office. Put your mix in your office. And Mike spent total about 5 hours via Skype with me. And then those two conversations were the gateway to expand the community.
Okay, so you said a couple of things there. Like, that was an amazing story. You made me think about allyship. You made me think about mentors and because I don't think these men charged you, correct? But they still provided, right? So, but they still provided solid information, which is something that I think you have adopted into the way that you have been. So, okay, where do I start now? Because
part two.
No. This part 3 right here is when you talked about your main mission of peeling back the layers of the mainstream's media to construct around the Black male, and you kind of being the archetype that this gentleman saw as something that could be broadcasted so that other people would have a new view of what the Black man looked like. And you seem to have adopted that as your modus operandi. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I want people to have a different narrative, because still too much in the media today, it has changed, but not enough. When people see in the media Black men, we're either entertainers,
right,
like doing in sports. Sports is entertainment, folks, because people pay to see people perform.
Right.
Or
sports.
we're seen, and we're seen dealing with the law, and a lot of times in a not positive manner.
Right.
And I said to myself, go ahead.
No, that's what led you to doing this.
Yeah, I said I wanted to have some sort of digital footprint saying that, you know what, they can't say we're all like this.
Right.
And also showcasing people from around the world to show, okay, there is a different narrative. I'm very passionate about us controlling our narrative.
Oh yeah, that's so important. You really stress that to me also. A lot of people may not know, but I wasn't typically a person who would want to put myself out there as a host. If you don't remember, and it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But one of the many things that LA is gifted with is she's passionate and she cares and she wants the truth and she seeks the truth.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's a very accurate depiction of me, but I also recognized it in you, and so thank you for your encouragement and pushing me. I would love to hear that thing that we taped with Stacey Buchanan one day.
Yeah,
that was really like the first thing that I ever did. But regardless of that, I hear your passion for the Black male. You also were instrumental in being an advocate for Black fathers. Yeah,
it's interesting, and there's a backstory with that, and it's very interesting. In the last year, I've had the opportunity to share this story a lot, and I didn't before. So people ask, how did you become so passionate about Black fathers and fathers in general? My father, who's still alive, who's 84 years old, about 15 years ago, had suffered a heart attack.
Okay.
And he was in St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto, very well-known hospital in Canada and also in the world. And he had suffered his heart attack on a Friday, and he was getting his operation on the Monday.
Oh, wow.
And this is 7:00 in the morning. I wheeled him in on his gurney.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow. Wow. What a profound moment that has to have been for you.
Well, it enlarged, because wheeling him in, and then I would leave and the doors would just swing. And I was there in the waiting room for 4.5 hours.
Just
having
waiting
woulda, coulda, shoulda moments going on in my head. And hoping, that I get the opportunity to hopefully make some U-turns, because the relationship we had was not the best at that time, to be totally honest. And I wanted to get another opportunity. I wanted to get an opportunity to correct it.
That's
so
amazing.
after 4.5 hours, the doctor comes into the waiting room, and LA, within 3 seconds, my life would be profoundly changed.
Wow.
And I want to stop there. I think a critical moment in Black fathers, Black men in general's lives is when their father dies. No matter what the relationship they had with their father, it is a critical moment.
I would say, yeah. But you didn't have that moment.
No, I was blessed, because the doctor came in and my life froze for a moment.
Right.
And he said he's going to be okay. And I don't think we've ever shared this. Ellen and I chat all the time, but yeah. And so when he said that, I ran over to the doctor, got down on my knees, and hugged his leg for a minute. Because a higher power, whoever you believe in, if whatever, through this person, the people he was working with, gave me a second opportunity. And I said to the doctor, I said, after hugging his leg for a minute, I think a little bit, he sort of wiggles, say, okay, you can let go now, you can let go. I almost feel like I was like a dog, and I said, oh my gosh. But and I said, can I go in and see him? He said, yes. So I go in and see my dad. And I said, Dad, how you doing? He goes, I can feel my toes now.
Oh my gosh.
So that told me that he was suppressing and keeping inside of him this condition.
Wow.
So ever since that day, we are each other's best friends.
Yeah, you speak of him highly, but I didn't realize that this pivotal moment, had fundamentally changed the direction of the relationship.
It changed everything. It changed everything for me. And there's especially over the last 15, 20 years, he's been sharing some of his story with me. Like how he went to a Comore College school in Jamaica, Montego Bay, all prestigious all boys school.
Okay.
Graduated from them and went to Howard University.
Okay. And HBCU.
Young Jamaican boy going to Howard University.
Of course.
And one of his teachers at that time was the late Toni Morrison.
Oh, you're joking. Your father was taught by Toni Morrison? Wow. Can I see his class notes? I wonder what he wrote down.
I love it. I got to ask him if he has any of those.
Yeah, please. I would love to see that. So much history actually in our parents' archives.
Yeah.
I love my mom, because she has a notebook that she had from when she came here as a nurse in the domestic scheme to create a life because she knew she wanted to create family, and she wanted them to have access to things she didn't have access to. And her this thing has a syllabus of basically how to be a maid in Canada. And it was just, it's like a historical artifact that I'm holding on to here. So I just wondered if he had notes from
Well,
Toni Morrison's class.
no, that's crazy. And actually, and one of the beautiful things is there's a number of gentlemen who are part of my circle.
Right.
Some of them you would know, but we're not going to mention them here, that have
Okay.
lost their fathers over the last years, and they treat my dad like they treat him as a dad.
That's not surprising. I think I can see the aspects of who you are as a man that have now become imprinted in how you kind of not only father other men, but father women and
I'm
befriend
humbled.
them.
I'm humbled. Thank you for your praise,
Well,
and love you back.
oh, thank you. This moment in the conversation makes me think about your own interviewing skills and the power you have of listening as an interviewer and to position questions in ways that allow these kind of stories to kind of emerge. Where did that come from? Your ability to listen so well?
Well, that again came from my dad, because my dad was a public school teacher for 38 years in the same school in Bathurst and College area of Toronto, Clinton Street Public School.
Oh, wow.
And I jokingly said to him many years ago, I said, Dad, I felt like I was a student more than a son with you, because he would just tell me things and I had no response time. But you know what he said a number of years ago? He said, you know what? You are a better listener than me. And I said, well, I had no choice. You didn't give me a chance to respond.
So he made you a better listener by
He
default.
made me a better listener. But the whole thing with hosting conversations, I like to say it is, one, this may freak people out. I've done over 3,000 of them. I've only really prepped for less than 100 of them.
What? You don't prep for your interviews?
I read some background, and
Yeah.
and then usually my first question is, oh, you great bio we just shared with the audience. Tell us about you growing up.
Where did you get this line of questioning? Because I know part of your early years also consisted, I didn't know this about you either, is that you were a news reporter.
The funny story, and this is again, as we said before we went live, I don't like to be transactional. I like to be relational. Many
Yes.
years ago,
Tell me the difference as you're talking about the news reporter thing.
well, okay, so here's a perfect example. A number of years ago, and the funny is, I go on in my journey, I remember more and more people's names, because a lot of times people get older, they forget more. I'm remembering more. There's a gentleman named Polton McKenzie, had a show on Rogers Cable in the GTA called Caribbean Headline News.
Okay.
It was Caribbean Headline News. And
Okay.
I actually interviewed him at his home. And the last thing I said to him is, say, Polton, if you need any help, please reach out.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks later, it was on a Wednesday night. He calls up, Dr. Vibe, I need your help. And I said, well, what do you need help with? Oh, one of my reporters can't do it anymore. Can you do it for me? Can you fill in for them? I said, sure.
Just like that.
It's a person I met once.
Well, you obviously had an impression.
Well,
what stage of your life were you in when that was happening?
Pardon me?
What stage of your life were you in when
Oh,
that
gosh. That's a while back, too. That's a while back. Like, and it was really funny. Like the stuff, and he was one of the early people, too, that was doing the online streaming thing as a Black Torontonian way back. We used to, he had a room in his house, and I used to do like online stuff like we're doing now before it became more advanced. Remember those days? But that's a great question. I have to pull out and see when that was, but it was a long time ago. So I was doing news. I had a chance to do news reporting a long time. Yeah, it was for Rogers, but it was still television. It was
when
still
you were getting to practice.
Yeah, it was television. So and I enjoyed it immensely. And I said, hey man, early in my journey, I had the opportunity to do online stuff and traditional media, and that was a lot of fun. So have to think I you know what, I have to do a gratitude book, and probably full like it'd be a full gratitude book. And you know what, what I'm in the process of doing, anyone who has had a positive impact on my journey, I'm sending them a message now. Even from years ago, I say, hey, hope you're doing okay, and I just want to thank you and bless you.
So that's a great segue into your transactional versus relational way of connecting with people. So tell us about the difference between.
Look at this. I think that was 2011. Louise may know better than I do. There you go.
Thank you, Louise. And
Thank
thank
you,
you for watching
Louise.
today. Welcome to the Cocktail Hour.
Yeah. What was your question again? You were saying
We're making the distinction
transactional
between,
and relational.
yes, and how that spills into things like you leaving the voice messages, video voice messages.
Oh, well, I have to. It was going to happen somewhere during this conversation. I have to hail up my main mentor, gentleman named Mario Armstrong. He has personally mentored me for the last, well, personally the last 2 or 3 years, but we've had a digital relationship for about 8 years, believe it or not now.
Oh, wow.
And he said to me that it's so important to be relational than transactional. He said, when you want to get or even do business with someone, look at it as a relationship, not transactional. A relationship, you're in and out and your heart is not into it. You want to give your all. Even when you're volunteering, people, give your 100%. Because a lot of times we'll volunteer and we say, oh, just because I'm not getting paid for it, I'm not going to give my all. You don't know who's looking, and you don't know what that's going to lead to, other opportunities. And a lot of times, if you just do things transactional, a lot of times first of all, it takes more energy than relational, and there's less long-term benefits. If you want to be short-term, transactional is fine, but it's going to be bang, bang, bang. Think about it this way. Many people who make a lot of money in the stock market, they put their money in and just let it invest. They do long-term, not short-term.
Right. So that's what you think we should do, is have long-term relational investment.
As many as not everything, but I think the majority of things. Yes, there are some things you do for short-term, etc. But when you see that the synergies are right, the intent is right, that's huge.
Right. So how do you establish that? What are some of your checkpoints that you're looking for in approaching something as a long-term relational relationship versus a transactional relationship?
We both want not only each other to win, but the audience to win.
Yeah.
A lot of times, oh, I just want to do this, but I want my audience to win, because if they don't win, they're not going to watch. And if I don't have people watch me.
Yes, exactly. So I'm really glad that you said this, because it's another great segue into.
I'm your segue master.
Clearly, we just flow in this conversation.
Yeah.
But demographics, in conjunction with what Mario has been measuring around, and the power of sponsorship to uphold.
Yes.
So when you're thinking about your demographic, who's your audience? Who are you talking to?
Well, this is interesting because I host a number, and that's another thing. I host a number of different conversations, not only of my own, but for other platforms. And that's something, putting my face out into different markets, right? Because credibility leads to profitability.
I like that. We got to put that in the caption there.
And so, for example, I guess if you want, I can talk about the whole thing about Dove Men Care.
Yeah, I mean, is that the first big sponsorship that you landed?
That was the first big sponsorship, and he mentored me and gave me thought process. And I'll try to shorten the story, but I feel there's a lot of learning points, so I'm going to share about it. So I'm very passionate about fathers and fatherhood. One of the things I do is there's a great online resource called Google Alerts.
I've heard of it.
Yes, there you go. And Google Alerts, what it basically allows you is whatever subject you want to get stories from the internet from Google, it will send them to you. You can have it every hour. You can have it immediately. You can have it whatever. And that's about 3.5 years ago, it was in around the Toronto International Film Festival. I looked at one of my Google Alerts and it said, world premiere of a documentary for dads and fathers at Toronto International Film Fest. So I go, okay, well, I'm passionate about dads, passionate about fatherhood, and I live in Toronto. Hey, I start reading it, and there was a documentary being premiered called Dads, being produced by a lady named Boyce Howard. Boyce Howard is the daughter of the famous Ron Howard.
Oh, like Apollo 13 Ron Howard.
Yes.
Happy Days, Ron Howard.
You and I know that show. I don't know if everyone watching does, but that's another conversation. Yeah. And so I read through the press release and I found out that I missed the premiere by 2 days.
Oh, no.
No, that's honest, but so again, I had a decision to say, okay, I miss it by 2 days. I could ignore it or read on.
Right.
Most good press releases have the contact name and the phone number and the email address.
Okay.
Okay.
So you were able to correct.
Well, there's another decision to make. Okay, good, or call.
Yeah.
So I called, but I called with intent.
And what was the intention?
Well, I had 3 asks, and the reason why is and people say, why do you have 3 asks? Well, I have my dream ask, my middle ask, and my low end ask. The reason I do that is I don't want to have a conversation or meeting and leave with nothing. Or if I have one thing, they say no, and I go,
And they just kissed your ask.
I like, I'm gonna mention that to Mario tonight. I'm gonna mention it. Kiss my ask. I like that. I like that's brilliant. Kiss my ask. I like that. So I called up. So my dream ask was to call up Edelman, who the representative who wrote the press release. Edelman represents Dove Men Care, which is Edelman's one of the biggest PR firms in the world.
Wow.
So my dream ask would be to work with Dove Men Care. My middle ask would be, okay, get on a list where if they're doing anything for men that they could reach out to me. And my low end ask was, okay, can I get your contact information and follow up with you?
Okay.
So I had
you led with those 3.
Yeah. So when I spoke with the person, I called the person and said, hey, my name is so-and-so. I do work with dads and fathers. I'm sorry I missed the premiere. I could have brought a bunch of fathers. The lady said, oh, you know what? It was last minute. Okay. I said, well, is there any opportunity to work with Dove Men Care? Well, not at this time. Okay. But I have more. I'm not leaving without something.
Right.
So I said to her, I work with fathers. Can I send you some of my conversations that I've had with fathers? And can I follow up with you in 3 months? She said, yeah, no problem. There's a win.
Yeah. Because you got the middle ask and you got a follow-up, the permission to follow up.
You said a very important word, permission.
Yes.
So
you asked for it.
I asked for it. Well, not only that, but the thing is, so when I would contact her, I could say, hey, how you doing? Hey, as per your conversation piece, when we talked, you gave me permission to follow. So I'm not bothering her. She gave me permission. Exactly. So we ended the call, sent her information. 2 months after that, on a Friday afternoon, email, hey, Dr. Vibe, how are you doing? Hey, would you like an opportunity to work with Dove Men Care?
Wow.
And I said, no, I was joking. Right. and I said, yes. Oh, can you meet with my two of my representatives on Monday? I go, okay, that's a fast turnaround.
Yeah.
Hey, Maxine, hope you're doing right. And if you ever want to go deeper on the 3 asks, I'm more than happy to share with you offline. So how did I prepare for the conversation? I found out the names of the people who I was going to be speaking with, looked them up on LinkedIn.
Oh.
To see what they were, career background, etc., etc. So I wanted
Banky
to know that
Benjamin has a little bit of stability too. Banky's a really underrated networker. She's very good.
Yes.
I can hear some of the things that you're saying to do that she's implemented.
Yeah. And so I knew who I was speaking to, and one of the person was recently promoted. So to that person I said, hey, congratulations on your recent promotion.
Because you were able to see it on LinkedIn.
Aha, there you go. also did my research on Dove Men Care and their initiatives for men. At that time was paternity leave. And so I was passionate about fatherhood. And plus I represent an organization, Dad Central, that is Canada's national fatherhood organization. So I'm going, okay. They grilled me for 40 minutes with questions.
You're kidding.
What
kind of questions were they asking you?
Can't even remember. I remember what I asked them, though.
What did you ask them?
So after they grilled me for 40 minutes, and this was all phone.
Okay.
And so when they finished, they said, you know what? We can tell you're very passionate about dads and fathers. That's what I wanted to hear. Because
then that it helped them know that what you were trying to convey, they get it.
Yeah.
And not only do they get it, they align with their values as well.
There you go. Alignment. So people are looking for sponsorship, serious sponsorship. Alignment is one of the key things You
Is
got to
that
have.
why you say that it doesn't matter your numbers? It matters about
Yeah.
the alignment.
Another great thing, and we can chat about it another time. I have a report if people want access to it. Brands are looking for influencers that have less than 10,000 followers. And people go, no, how can that be true?
Yeah,
The
how can that be?
reason why, and we're going to use your community as an example, LA. You have
Yeah.
less than 10,000 followers, correct?
Yes.
Total. But
Total, yeah.
if you and I have an alignment, the messages I give to you to share with your community, first of all, they know, like, and trust you.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, well, if LA is sharing that message, I'm going to take a look because we like her. And plus, that message will go quicker through your community than big, larger communities.
This is true. This is
So,
true. I'm glad you recognize it.
yeah. So no, but it's true. Brands so brands are looking, and anyone wants to contact me, I'll give you my information out. There's a report called the User Generator Content Report. Brands are looking for people who are dealing with social justice in the smaller communities. It is a fact. And right now, for the last few years, brands sponsorship money has been pent up. Maxine's interested. Good, Maxine. I like you. And they remember they haven't been able to spend sponsorship money over the last few years. So it's a lot of open season right now. And you don't have to have a large amount of followers. So I'm going to jump back to just finish off the Dove Men Care story. So they liked what I was sharing with them. They said, hey, we have a national campaign we'd like you to do. I said, look, I am one person.
Yes.
Now, in retrospect, if they would have asked me that now, I would have said, I would have took it on. I would have hired people in different areas to do the job. At that time, I said, well, I'm a member of Dad Central. It's a National Father Organization. Would you like to have a meeting with them? I said, yes. When can it happen? Right. And then they finished off saying, do you have any questions for us? I said, yeah, I got a question for you. I said, you ladies work with Dove Men Care. You're a part of Edelman. What 3 things keep you up at night working on the Dove Men Care account? The phone went silent for 45 seconds.
And what did they say after?
Again, I can't remember, but I do remember that believe it or not, I think I have it recorded. So we'll talk about that offline. You can listen to it. But everything they said kept them up at night. I said, look, Dad Central can help you with this. Dad Central can help you with this. Dad Central can help you with this. So the lessons here are a number. When you're going to pitch, it's all about the person you're pitching. It's not about you.
Right.
We know what we got is great.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't help the person on the other side of the table, why are they going to give you any time?
Right.
And another thing too, if you are pitching a company, get a 12-minute meeting with them first.
Right? Because what's the point of reaching out to them? To your point, when you had that conversation, you were able to find out the key touch points that they were looking for the alignment to take place. Yeah,
I would have, in that situation, if I was doing that situation now, I would have said, hey, can I get, I would have basically said, hey, my name is Dr.Vibe. I'm 2-time Canadian Ethnic Media Association winner. I know very fatherhood and manhood advocate. Bang. And then I say, look, I would love to have a 12-minute meeting with you just to see if there's anything I can do to help amplify your brand. And then I would put, hey, can we meet this time, or that time? Looking forward to hearing from you. If I don't hear back from you, I'll get back to you in a week. Done.
I like the what can I do to help amplify your brand?
Mm-hmm. It's all about them.
Because once you get the answer to even just that question, you can structure a really great presentation towards that.
Absolutely, because you want to do a presentation based on what they told you. How are you going to find out if you don't ask them?
Right, but we don't always have access to go directly to the person. So I found it interesting that you said that you didn't really research very much for your interviews, but you sure research about about the people that you're going to
I do. And now I'm bold, sold, and told on this stuff. And LA, I am. And I've got to the point, I'll give another example. I was introduced in the last 2 months to the senior vice president of one of Canada's biggest media properties.
Okay. And?
I reached out to her and I said, I'd like to get a meeting with you half an hour. Oh no, I said I'd like to have a meeting with you. I didn't even put a time slot, half an hour. 10 minutes before the scheduled meeting, she cut it to 15 minutes.
Take it.
Oh, I only need 12. I don't need 15's too much, right?
Right.
So we get on the and we get on the line together. Hey, how you doing? Etc. And she goes, "How can I help you?" I said, "What did I first ask her?" Oh, I asked her, "What is your organization's 3 things that keep them up?" No, what are your priorities over the next 12 to 18 months?
Okay.
And she said, "Yeah, da 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 da." She says, "Well, she goes, it's hard." Da da. She says, "What else do you want to ask me?" So I went direct. Said, "How can I get content in your platform?"
Wow.
And she said, "Okay, well, you can come to me. We all have different divisions." She then asked me, "What content do you want to have on?"
And you said,
I wanted to have content about fatherhood. And then she asked me why.
oh,
Now, here's the interesting thing. We were doing the conversation the same way we're doing here, but her camera was off.
oh, so you're just talking to the blank screen.
I'm talking to a blank screen.
Yikes. So
Didn't
she could
bother
be
me.
like kissing she could be kissing your ass for all you know.
I'm going to give Mario that one so bad. But you know what? I can only control myself. I can't control her.
Right.
So I gave her my story about my dad in the hospital.
Okay.
And after that, she said, "You know what? I think your story is amazing. It's incredible." She goes, and then she said, "My father becomes more important to me every day." Plus, I did some research on her, and she sits on the executive of Big Brothers Toronto.
So there's the research coming into play again.
And then she said, "You know what?" She said, "Can you do me a favor?" I said, "What? Can you write up a little blurb about yourself and give me a picture, and I'm going to personally introduce you to the head of our podcast network."
Personally, that's quite the introduction, because how do you then follow up? How much time did you allow to go in between there?
I asked her, when can I follow up with her? And
Okay.
I followed up with her. She hadn't done it yet. And they go, "Okay, no problem. I understand. You got a lot going on. When should I follow up with you?" And she 2 days later sent the email to the gentleman. So then I had to contact him, follow up with him. It took a little while because eventually I knew his child was sick. No problem. And we had a really good conversation. And he actually said, "You know what? I need to get on your platform." So the relationship.
Yes.
That relationship stuff. So that was and the senior vice president, I got a win from her in 8 minutes.
That's so dope. I love it.
And I said, and I actually, when I start off, I said, "Look, I've got my cell phone with me, and I know you only have 15 minutes. I'm going to make sure we don't go past 15 minutes.
Nice.
And then when she finished off, like when she made that offer to me, I said, "Hey, do you have any more time?" She said, "I got a few more minutes, no problem." So we spent some time building a relationship in that remaining time.
And you did it, and I like that you talked about, I want to be a respecter of your time.
Huge.
The whole thing is constantly, going to what she needs from the conversation, even though it's your ask.
Right? It's all about them.
Yeah, even though it's your ask on the line.
Yeah, like of course we have the greatest ideas in the world, but sometimes you got to stop making love to your dream and look at some reality. Like how when you do what you are passionate about, who wins?
Right. Everybody.
Exactly. And some people will say, "Well, I win," but no. Who wins? Everybody wins. And that a lot of times will keep you going.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it for something bigger than yourself.
Yes. Now, this is another great
segue.
It's another segue. I wanted to bring this up, especially, and I know we have 15 minutes, and it will probably just take up the majority of what we're going to say. So I usually ask people, what do they thirst for in life? But I want to put your question about thirst in the context of the living eulogy.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Now, you have to explain
that's emotional. That's emotional.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah. No, I'm very blessed to get mentorship from people all around the world. And a number of years ago, I had the blessing, not the chance, the blessing of meeting a gentleman named Robert Leung, 70-year-old man that lives off an island off of Portland, Oregon, has mentored over 3,000 men in his life. Wow. And I didn't find out too recently, interesting background, his mother was Chinese and his father was Bayesian.
Okay.
Didn't know that till recently. When we first met, having great conversation, and I look at Robert like a sage, a wise old sage.
Yes. I
Wonderful.
love people like that. Yeah.
Oh, he's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And we're having conversation, and he said, you know, Dr. Vibe, have you ever heard about a living eulogy? I go, living eulogy. Living is alive. I'm going, okay, what's this sage putting on my brain? Like, what trying to mess me up? And then he said to me, Dr. Vibe, don't you realize a lot of times many of us say the best we have for people during their eulogy? Why aren't we saying it when they're alive?
Right.
Wow.
I think Mark Stoddart and Randella J have kind of taken that whole concept, not from you or him specifically, but the idea of giving people their flowers.
Flowers. Yeah.
Alive.
Absolutely. One of the things I do on a regular basis, especially to men, I will either call them, send them a video message. If it's a text message, I'll just say 2 words. You good? That's it. You're good. One thing that many of your viewers may not realize is that in North America, 80% of the suicides committed by people over 40 are men.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Well, this may add the second part. 80% of the suicides by teenagers are boys.
That is so sad. And I'm sure it's boys in general. I'm sure it's even higher. Is it higher in Black communities?
I have a feeling it is.
Yeah.
But you asked about men. Just as a general thing, but you may realize this. Most men or guys, we like things straight. 2 + 2 = 4. 1 + 1 = 1. You can't give 1 + 1 = 3. That messes a lot of us up, right? Because we like to do tasks straight, right?
Yes.
Isn't it interesting? And this is a perspective that was taught to me. There's at least 2 times in a man and boy's life that we're not on a straight line. At least, first of all, when a young man graduates from high school or college or university, they're not a young boy anymore, but they're not a man.
When do they become men?
Oh no, but let me go. So again, they don't have and I'm saying generalities. This is not always the case, but they don't have a strong identity because who am I? I'm not a boy anymore. I'm not a man. So we don't understand. We don't know.
Right.
Second time, when men get to their 40s or 50s and they realize, you know what? I haven't achieved everything I was supposed to achieve.
I hear this a lot. Yeah.
A lot of times you hear the midlife crisis.
Yes.
Again, I'm not a young man anymore, but I'm not an old man anymore. What am I?
Right.
So those 2 times in life for many men, we're not stable. There's a lot of men and boys out there that are screaming and nothing's coming out.
That's so good that you said that, because in terms of I'm doing a talk with our friend Warren Clark.
Yes.
He'll be on the show next week. But
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm appetizer. You got main course next week.
Please, you are definitely your own main course. But there's that, damn it, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but there's this this idea of Black love is what my panel is about on February.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And please support that everyone. Please do.
Yes. So what I'm talking about is when we look to a man for stability and a man doesn't feel stable, then there's already incongruence in how
Yes.
they can come together to love. So
Well,
what are your ideas of how to tease that apart to get beyond the challenge and the tension to the place of
yeah,
love?
that's really good. Men are big on trust. Like we always hear, don't mess the trust of a lady, don't mess the trust of a guy,
Okay.
right? I've had the blessing to help lots of men. And one of the things I do when I get the opportunity, when I first meet them, I say, tell me your story.
Hmm. But so they tell you, but men don't often just open up with complete vulnerability.
No, but I have questions for them.
Okay.
Like and not all. And sometimes it works. Many times it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if they're not ready, they're not ready.
Right.
Right? Because no one, only a person can move on their own. You can't push them, you can't force them. I will ask them questions like this. One of the ones I love asking is, what are 3 things you're doing to help your life? And what are 3 things you're doing that are not helping your life?
That's a great question.
Right?
What is the answer for you?
Helping,
Yeah.
being surrounded with great people like yourself,
Okay.
exercising and meditating,
Nice.
and also spending time with family. Because a number of years ago, I was not a family person.
I don't know how you have the time to spend to do anything other than podcasting.
Well, no, because again, and it's another conversation. I have people helping me, and that's another thing. We need to know how to ask.
Yeah. My friend RB in New York, he has a podcast where he also empowers young Black men because he's also a school teacher. And we had this conversation just the other day about how do we get Black boys in particular to ask for what they need?
Well, see, and one of the challenges is, especially when they're young men, is they emulate what they replicate.
Mhm. Yeah, so they had to kind of lead by example, the leaders of
So
that.
we all of us elders, because
Mhm.
we are elders to them.
Right.
We have to realize that everything we do is being watched.
Yeah.
And are we adding light or are we adding darkness? I'll give you a very quick little story the other day. There's been a young Filipino gentleman who I met many years ago at Future Shop, which doesn't exist anymore. And used to help me with purchases of equipment and things like that. And we had lost touch for about the last 3-4 years. And then one day I was in my local grocery store and he was there. And I guess he had contract work, like doing pricing of all the items, etc. All that. I said, hey, we should be in touch. So we began to start getting in touch with each other again. And holiday season, he texts me and said, hey, can you have time to chat? I said, sure. We got on the phone and I could tell, I had a feeling within 5 or 10 minutes that he had lost someone close to him.
Oh, wow.
And I just shut up and let him talk. I didn't interrupt. That's another thing. If you ask someone a question, stay quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Give 20 seconds if you can. Be quiet. We had and at what happened during the conversation, he told me that his father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me, if you can come by to the visitation. I said, sure, absolutely. So
Right.
here's someone, we're culturally 2 different ends of the world, but more I know about Filipino, they're like a lot of us, which is a good thing. They're like us and vice versa. And so he introduced me to his mother. I'd never met his mother before. And she said, oh, this is so-and-so. He'd been a friend from way back, et cetera, et cetera. And she says, oh, so good to meet you. He's told me so much. Adrian's told me so much about you. And you know what she asked me?
What?
He says, please help take care of my son.
I agree with her. I think that, as a Black man, when or any man that you see somebody else younger on the come up, the power of helping that man up. I know that this has been an emotional place for you and all the men that have extended their hand.
Yeah, I've seen, but that got recently really struck me.
Yeah.
Now here's a lady never met me in my life. We never, and please help take care of my son. I said, I will do my best, and I make sure I text him at least once a week, say, how you doing? How's the family holding up? And he said, yeah, we're planning something in the springtime. The family wants you to come.
Yeah, you seem to have reached that trusted advisor stage with people very quickly. And I think we just see who you are.
It's important, right? Because it's people are looking for trust. They're looking for people who care. You know, who are accepting them where they're at. A strong believer I am that you need to have 3 or 4 people that know everything good about you, but also know everything bad about you, because you're going to have those moments where things aren't going to be good.
And then
and those moments where you got to make that call at 2:00 in the morning. Do you have someone you can call?
Yeah.
Who's going to answer and say, what do you call me for? You don't want that. You want, how can I help? Because obviously, you know, you're calling at that time and something's up, and they're there. They're your you have a fire station, or you have firemen.
Okay, I like that.
Right. But they accept you where you're at, but sometimes they have to give you that tough love. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it because they believe in you, not because they want to like you, they want to help you.
Yeah, I think that's becoming more and more rare, unfortunately. But, you know, people like you, people like myself who really, you know, no matter how much I want to move ahead in terms of, you know, financial trajectory, I always tend to make space for those that need the help.
Yeah. But it's also important too that we got to make sure we're taking care of ourselves too.
Well, this is what I was wondering, if you were going to answer that to the thirst question. Do you thirst for any relaxation in your life? Because your schedule is quite packed.
Yeah, but you know what? I get 8 hours of sleep every day, which is very important. And also, I take breaks, and I use something called the Pomodoro theorem, which is basically okay. So Pomodoro theory, and you can look it up online. Whenever I'm working at something, I work at it for 20 minutes, and I give myself a 5-minute break.
5 minutes?
Yep.
In between each project.
In between the 20 minutes.
And what does it look like?
So 20 minutes, say I'm researching something, and I've got my cell phone. It rings after 20 minutes. Okay, time to get up, relax, go stretch, do whatever. Another thing I do, so many of us work from home. One of the things, if I'm ever in a funk, I take a shower. That works for me. Huh?
Cold showers wake you up quite a bit.
Whatever. Like, there's been many a time where I was hanging by a string before a live hosting a live conversation. I jump into that shower and I'm good.
I love it.
Look at this, Maxine. I'm so humbled. You're both making me shift ahead and refocus on my purpose. Well, I'm going to share something with you, Maxine. And I hope you can reach out to us, because you are doing great things and you have greatness in you. And you're a champion.
Yes.
Right? Purpose. So many people have their purpose. I want to make sure that your purpose is aligned with who you are. Right? So a lot of people have passion, a lot of people have purpose, but is it aligned with who they are? And you can tell when someone's passion and purpose is aligned with who they are.
Yeah.
You can feel it, you sense it. Like, hey, look, perfect example when those ladies from Edelman said, we can feel your passion. I couldn't even see them. The lady from this major media. Yeah, it impacted her so much. My passion. They said, I'm going to give you a personal introduction to a person who can help you on my recommendation. But make sure you take breaks. As Mario taught me the other day, Dr. Vibe, don't manage your time, manage your energy.
Love that.
You know, and also
manage your energy.
Give yourself grace, people. Hit it. This thing of life ain't easy. And you're going to mess up. No worries. Learn to laugh. Because if you don't laugh, someone else is already laughing at you. So you better join the party.
We can give you these things all day, people. You have been watching the Cocktale Hour. Dr. Vibe, how do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out?
Easiest. There we go. See? Someone, Sakshi, you stole that from somewhere because I didn't give you that information. She's been watching me. Banky is a good professor. She's doing her research.
Banky's on point.
She is on point, man. You got a top-notch producer.
Don't I?
You are very blessed.
I am very blessed. Yes, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to end with another video of the things that you do, but I just wanted to make sure that if you had
Can I share one quick thing?
Anything else you wanted to share,
yes,
this would be the time to do it.
Okay, I'm doing it right. I like to do readings, so I'm going to do it really quick. This one's called "It's Okay to Stumble."
Okay.
Real quick. The path to self-improvement is rocky, and stumbling is inevitable. You'll forget to do the push-ups. You'll cheat on your diet. You'll get sucked into the rabbit hole of Twitter and Clubhouse and all the other different things, Instagram, or you'll go weeks without doing your journaling. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Listen to this quote from Oprah Winfrey. Quote, "If you catch yourself eating an Oreo, don't beat yourself up. Just try to stop before you eat the whole sleeve and then try to do better tomorrow." Unquote. So in other words, it's okay to stumble. It's okay to mess up. Just don't let a stumble turn into a catastrophic fall. Catch yourself and go back to those good habits.
Amazing.
I am complete.
Amazing. I just, because you have such knowledge and you wanted to do a giveaway.
Yes.
You wanted to
do a
giveaway.
Here's the giveaway. Okay. Love it. I like that. So here's the giveaway.
Tell me.
I have mentioned who my major mentor is. If you email me and tell me who that person is, I'll give you minimum 30 minutes for us to have an epic conversation together and see if I can help you get clarity. Done deal.
Amazing. Well, here's the clarity and completion, which I know are your 2 words for the year. I pray that you get it and you manifest it.
You're part of it.
I
ain't leaving you behind. Sorry. I ain't leaving you behind, because if you win, I win. Remember that.
So let's close on that note with some good reciprocity. Thank you for watching the Cocktale Hour. Shout out to Business Takeout and Banky Benjamin. Shout out to Maxine Choi, who has her own show tomorrow at 7 p.m., The Healthy Entrepreneur. And it was a pleasure to have you all here in the Cocktale Hour. Peace out. See you next week.
If you enjoy our programming and want to help support Black entrepreneurship, please donate today. www.businesstakeout.com/donate.